What's going on? What's going on, everybody? I hope that you are doing well today. Jay Cameron back once again here, and I'm telling you, I want to talk about this disease that has affected millions of Americans and is now creeping into Africa. That's right. It's, you know how they normally portray it. It's the one way or the other way. And this disease is something that when I've mentioned it to people, they've tried to downplay it. They try to say, well, our culture isn't like that. But I'm going to show you some things. If you stick around, I'm going to walk this thing down for you. And you're going to see some things to see exactly how impactful the disease of student debt. That's right. Student debt, right? School fees, all of that. Y'all know what I'm talking about? That thing is real. I actually wrote a production back in 2011 about it called College Fever. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to walk this thing down, so stick around.
College right now, I can't wait to get to him and have a conversation with him and his mom about this.
This play was really inspirational. I've been stressing about college, and I don't know what I was going to do, but now it gave me hope.
I sat and texted at least 10 of my friends in the middle of the play to let them know that they need to come out. Thank you, Jay Cameron. I really appreciate it. This message was not just for the children, but it was for the parents as well.
College Fever is truthful. It tells you how it is and how it goes.
And this is my third time seeing this play. I think everybody should see it.
And if I would have heard this in 2009 before I went to school, it would have been a whole different ball game.
Webster defines fever as a rise in body temperature above the normal, or a state of heightened or intense emotion or activity. So when young adults race to begin the college journey, to break from the confines of the parental monopoly, to meet new friends, hang out and party, to pledge, pursue athletics, or just absorb as much knowledge as you can possibly, that person is on fire, hot and shivering. 4 years later, you're burning to pursue the career promise, yet you've been deceived, set up and trapped in your promise. Your tunnel vision blinded you to be ambushed on the other side. You're the receiver of the deceiver. You've been diagnosed with college fever.
You have been selected for admissions in the course of business administration for the fall semester. We are proud and excited as our students charge towards their future with passion and vigor. You should have planned better. You knew this day was coming, and now you have nothing for me like the rest of these parents. You are so evil.
If any reason Esperanza doesn't make it to Atlanta with you, I'll make sure you're very well taken care of.
I can't believe I spent 8 years of college to end up here.
You mean we could lose everything?
Sheriff's Department, you have a serious situation.
Oh, that thing is real. And we're talking about this disease of student debt that is creeping around. Now, pay attention to what I'm going to share with you, because if you watch my videos, you know that when these gems start falling, you might want to catch them. A lot of people throw them to the side. You know, talk about casting pearls to swine. A lot of times people throw these gems away. I'm about to give you some gems right now, and if you pay close attention, you won't find yourself in that situation or some of the situations I'm going to show you in a second. The first thing that we have to understand is that college is business. You know, we use education as the platform, and we say, well, okay, we want to be educated, without understanding that there are businesses that are designed to be compensated to educate. And so with that, they offer a credential, whether that be a certificate or a degree. And so a lot of times we don't even understand the connection between education and identity. And if someone feels as though they're uneducated because they don't have a particular credential, now that impacts their identity. And a lot of times it impacts how they show up in the world. And so what's happening as the continent of Africa is now becoming more westernized, even the educational systems that are in place are Western education systems with Western curriculums. So when you have these philosophies in place, that's what people aspire to become or to do or emulate. And so what that means for many people, it leaves them vulnerable to these predatory lending scams that have taken place in America. And I can tell you that it attacked the populations of lower incomes in ways that it did not affect those who had higher incomes. And now a lot of people lost their homes. A lot of people have found themselves in generational financial distress because of it. And now it's impacted all people in America, okay? So just understand, regardless of socioeconomic status, people have been impacted by student loan debt. But in particular, those who've come from lower income families, that student loan debt has done, in many cases, irreparable damage. And it has continued a system, a debt system that has been in place for at least 200 years. And when I say that, meaning if you keep people in debt, you control them. You can control their movements. You can control a variety of different things about them. And that's why the student loans in America and many of the Western countries have been so effective with basically creating a slave force. And that slave force becomes a workforce that's just basically trying to survive to pay the student loans. And that's very similar to what happens in many African countries. So what my warning is to people in Africa, I know I've had people tell me, well, no, we don't do debt like that. What I'm telling you is, as time goes on, the way that things are going to change, it is going to be very appealing to go and take on these loans, because the cost of college is going to keep going up, because the business of college can continue to make more money on the backs of people who are trying to get this so-called education. And this thing is real. And again, the lower income people are the ones who are impacted the most. A couple other things. Let me share this clip with you. I think this clip will put it in perspective. And I chose this clip for a reason, because I want you to see how it's impacting people who are not of color, as well as those who are of color. And I just use that term very loosely, just to kind of put it into perspective. But take a look at this clip and see what this student loan thing is really like in America. And I'm going to show you what's going on in Africa. And then I'm going to show you a part of something that I wrote some years ago, and offer you a couple solutions on the way out.
I would describe my debt as cumbersome.
Crushing.
Inflated.
Astronomical.
Overwhelming. It's negative. I'm chained to something for the rest of my life. I have a total of $28,000 in student debt. I have nothing to show for my degree. I have nothing but a huge amount of debt.
I have around $30,000 worth of student debt. It's kind of like a dark cloud that hangs over you.
I currently have probably right around $180,000. I have a law degree, but I am not currently using it.
$280,000 in student debt, and by the time I finish, I'll be at about $300,000.
It brings up a lot of shame. Yeah. It's hard to talk about, excuse me, because I should have known better. But what I knew is I really wanted an education. I have a 17-year-old. She'll be starting school soon. I'll need to borrow for her. Will I ever get married? What would it mean in partnership?
I wanted to study being a medical assistant. I really enjoyed helping people. It really takes a toll on everything, you know. I don't want to share with people, like, I got a lot of debt. Sorry. It's discouraging. It's embarrassing. I mean, I'm 22. Like, I shouldn't have that much debt. I'm the first person from my family to go to college, and I don't have anything to show for it.
I currently have $81,000 in debt. I didn't end up finishing my degree. When I did get loans, they were never enough to cover rent and food and school, because the school cost so much money itself. So I ended up sleeping out of my car, which made it much, much more difficult for me to do anything at all.
Education was stressed to me from as early as I can remember. Like, you know, my parents are both immigrants to this country, so for them getting a college education is like the holy grail. I do not think that education is worth it. I think nowadays you can teach yourself a lot of things just from the internet and YouTube.
I don't think that I knew the full weight of what I was getting into.
The smoothness of the financial aid office, the sort of crisp cleanliness and the efficiency of it didn't leave a lot of space for me to think about what I was doing. When I was living on student loans, I saved all of my receipts. Then I cast them in bronze. It's almost like as if my debt is like this little weapon. This is a debt rock. And so I feel like, you know, it's something that could be thrown It's also something that potentially could be worth money.
It says that it'll take until 2036 to pay off my loan.
It would probably take 30 years, and that 180 would end up turning into probably 250, 275 at the end of the life term.
I've seen estimates anywhere from 4 years if I sell my soul and work crazy hours and make a lot of money, or if it's a little bit more sane path, it might be 8 to 10 years.
I would pay as much as I need to pay to keep my credit, like, not completely fucked.
I already have anxiety, and it certainly doesn't help. I feel like I've missed out on being able to almost achieve like the quote-unquote American dream.
What is the American dream? And that's what many people around the world are trying to reach, the American dream. And I'm assuming the American dream is a house and a car, or 2 cars, a garage with a picket fence and a dog, and that's the American dream. I'm here to tell y'all some real things, and that's part of what we do here at Maximum Impact. Not only, our travel tours are designed to educate by way of exposure, but I've been teaching financial literacy for more than 25 years. I have been working with youth for more than 25 years. There's another component to what I do. It's not just tours, but what I use tours for is education. And it's not the traditional sense of education of sitting in a classroom, but it's real life exposure that stimulates all of the senses. And so when I started traveling around Africa, I started seeing these signs up that started saying, hey, student loans. And I was like, what are student loans doing here? What's going on? And I had conversations with several people that said, well, no, student loans aren't a big deal here, because we're a cash society. But I said, nah, I said, something's going on, and they're trying to switch this up. And then I started learning about how the school fees were with many people in Africa and how they were struggling. And what would happen is a lot of people would get their degrees, but they wouldn't get jobs. I said, this sounds really similar. I said, the debt isn't there in massive form yet, but I see it coming. And if you're already taking people who are low income and now you put this debt on them, what is this going to mean for the continent of Africa long term? What is this? Because, they sell the same thing in Africa that they sell in America. Really, they sell the American dream to different parts of Africa by way of all the satellite dishes on all the homes to say, this is what you want, without showing you the traps that are set. So now a couple of things in that video that just ran. The cycle with the mother who said, well, I'm still paying off my debt, but my daughter, she's 17, and I have to take out loans for her. See, the mindset to say, I have to take out loans is already telling you that mindset is already going to get her in trouble because she doesn't see any other way of doing it. So that's one of the reasons why I wrote the stage play College Fever, and I created the seminar Debt-Free College Degree, the masterclass, in order to show people how to avoid it. But if you hear that language, then you already know she's coming from a defeated posture to say, well, I don't have any other choice. Well, you do have another choice. You have other choices. But if you have been so conditioned that the only way that you will succeed is by way of that educational system, then you're going to feel helpless. So you already see that cycle. She's going to now put that on her daughter. And a lot of people do this. I'll never forget the time where a mother came to my Debt-Free College Degree masterclass and ignored everything I said. I can tell you some of the stories I can tell you that people have said to me when I showed them alternatives for going into debt. She ignored it. She sent her daughter to school. It took out $100,000 in student loans, and she got a psychology degree without the master's degree. She graduated, couldn't get a job in her field, making $30,000 per year. And now, where mom co-signed for the loan, she wanted to be able to retire, but she can't at 65, and now having to pay $965 per month in student loan payments that could have been completely avoided had she understood. And I always tell people, get educated before you get educated. The education that most school systems will not teach will be the financial education, because if someone is financially educated, they are now equipped to fight. They can now recognize predatory lending scams. If you show them in school, this is what a predatory lender looks like, now they recognize it and they don't find themselves getting trapped with the predatory lender. But if someone is clueless, and as soon as they graduate from high school, they make it easy for them to get a student loan and a credit card, but they can't get a business loan. They don't have a job, they don't have any source of income, but they can take out $100,000 in student loan debt, which will trap them at an early age and continue that cycle for many years. Even then, you have the culture pressure. The first one to go to college. I'm the first one in the family. So now that particular student is like, well, I'm the first one, so I have to, do this thing. I have to go through this process. And so when that pressure is there, coupled with the lack of resources, it's another trap that's set up for generations. And so this is why I warn everyone on the continent about this disease of student loan debt that's coming. Because it's coming, y'all. It's coming like a wave. And it's going to be so attractive. And then the lady talked about how the cleanliness of the financial aid office, that's how they lure you in. They bring you in, they sit you down, they talk to you because they're getting commissions and they're making their money and they're doing their thing. And then boom, you're set up. And then now after you're done, you're trapped by this loan. And in many cases in America, you can't discharge it in bankruptcy. It's not as a non-bankruptable loan. And that's something that the government put in place to make sure that the people stayed in debt. Now on the flip side, they say, well, the people would just be running off with the money and everything and all of that, which is true. But then you can bankrupt credit cards and you can bankrupt other types of debt, but you cannot bankrupt 9 times out of 10 cannot bankrupt student loans. And that's Section 523 of the Bankruptcy Code 2005, signed into law by President George W. Bush. That's right, W signed that one into law. So some other things that they talked about, the amounts of the loans. I have $35,000 in debt, $81,000. But the other part that most people don't consider is the interest that's attached to it over the course of 10, 20 years, how that balloons over time. And so that's money that can be used for investing, building businesses, doing other things. But because this stuff is going towards these overpriced degrees in many cases, because then people will take a degree without considering the return on the investment. So they're like, okay, I got a degree, but they're not considering what is the return on this investment? What is this going to pay me back over time? Is it going to pay me anything back over time? Is this degree going to be worth anything in 10, 15 years? All this money I'm putting into it, how is it going to translate over time? And that's what a lot of people do not consider. Now, some people, again, argue with me and say that it's not that big in Africa, but take a look at this right here.
Administration of that with us, we can find the students for themselves.
Student groups have demanded that the government cancels all existing student debt across South Africa's 26 public universities.
South African students have been calling for free higher education and for all student debt to be written off. Financial aid organisations insist that they're short on cash, and college bosses say that there is little chance that student loans will be forgiven. As the cost of education in the country melts, so does frustration.
In Kailicha, thousands dream of going to university. Azola has already completed an undergraduate degree but was unable to get funding for this year. Her studies cost more than €2,000 annually.
There was no possibility of taking out a loan because there was no way that my family would be able to pay it back, and under whose name would it go under.
She has tried raising money herself through a social media campaign but still owes more than €1,000 to the University of Cape Town.
Education should be free. Like, we shouldn't be facing this challenge every year in, year out.
South African students protest university fees every year. In 2017, then President Jacob Zuma ruled that higher education would be free for students whose household income is less than €20,000 per year. The rest would have to rely on student loans. The public body overseeing this system received more than 750,000 applications this year. Its spokesperson said that demand has doubled over the last 3 years and that the solution lies in partnership with the private sector.
South Africa cannot afford to help everybody because there isn't enough money from government. However, that model could work for private sector. If a private bank has a bursary and wants to give, they can outsource the administration of that with us. We can find the students for themselves.
Student groups have demanded that the government cancels all existing student debt across South Africa's 26 public universities. The Deputy Chair of Universities South Africa says this simply isn't an option.
The student debt that is still on the books for the sector is currently at about 14 billion rand. Now, it's just impossible to write that debt off without completely crippling the system.
The government has financed the studies of close to 4 million students from poor backgrounds, but continues to struggle with growing demand year on year.
You see, all of that right there tells you exactly what's going on. And if they forgave the debt, and this is why I tell people all the time, in America, what they're doing is they're hoping and waiting for, Biden, would you please forgive the debt? And you're talking about $1.7, $1.8 trillion worth of student loan debt. They're just going to forgive it. Come on, y'all. Let's stop and think for a second. Let's think economics. Now, they could do it because in America, we have a fiat currency, which they can just print the money. They could forgive it. They could do whatever. It just erase it and pay the schools. But the system is making too much money. So if they forgive the debt, then they'll be right back in the same problem because the same system is in place. The same debt system is in place. So this thing about them forgiving all of this student debt, we have got to wake up and understand that there is a system in place by design to make sure that people stay in debt. Just like there's a system in place to make sure that African countries stay in debt, there's a system in place to make sure that education, the illusion of education, or not just the illusion of education, but the education that they're offering is put at a premium, and the way they make it easy is by way of the debt. Now, you don't have to go into debt to get the education, but they're not going to put those solutions out there readily available, or it's out there, but it's not. That's not what they're going to lead with. When you go to graduations, they don't sit there and brag about how people are going to school debt free unless they get some scholarships or something like that. They'll talk about how many people have been accepted to these schools, they've been accepted to this school, that school, but they will never talk about, or rarely talk about, the impact of the student loan debt, or how much student loan debt these families are incurring, and the impact that it's going to have on them, the way that's going to impact their financial capacity moving forward. And I tell people all the time, if you begin to have your financial capacity intact while you're young, you will be a major force as you're getting older. But if you go into a hole, if you dig a debt hole, in an effort to move forward, you now dig the hole 10 years deep. Now you have to climb out of the hole to get to level ground that you were already on. You were on level ground at 17, 18. Then all of a sudden you took the plunge. Now by 28, 29, 30, now even some people in their 40s, 50s, still trying to pay off undergrad student loan debt. And so they spend a whole lifetime because the trappings come in. Now you want to get married. Now you want a house. Now you want a car. Now you want a dog. Now you have children. And all of these things prolong that student loan, and that interest keeps accruing all over that time, just keeps compounding, going. And then that's what ends up happening to so many people. And so what I'm saying, on the continent of Africa, this is what is coming your way. As you already see from the last one, it's already there. And so what a lot of people are waking up to realize is that, well, you don't necessarily need to go the traditional routes, because then what ends up happening, they sell the American dream and they sell the college experience. So now what they begin to do is to start selling, and I don't want to say fantasies, because people do have college experiences and people do live this so-called American dream that people are pursuing all over the world. But what ends up happening is that when people get caught up into these emotional triggers, now they lose their financial mind. And they say, well, I just want the college experience. I don't care what it is. I want them to have the experience. And then 10, 15 years later, when everybody's struggling and life happens and somebody gets sick and somebody can't do this, somebody can't do that, or you co-sign the student loans and the child passes away and they don't want to forgive the student loan because you co-signed it, and stuff like that starts happening, that's when reality sets in. And these are conversations that if we begin to have these conversations and say, we need to make some difficult decisions, because we do not have the financial capacity. Somebody was not willing to go apply for all the scholarships and do what needed to be done, because there's plenty of scholarship money out there. Plenty. I mean, in America now. In other countries, that's a different story. But what I'm saying is, there are ways to get around the student debt. It's not the only way, and it's the easiest way, because that's by design. But it's not the only way, and it's wreaking havoc. Hear what I'm saying to you? It's wreaking havoc on families in America and many Western countries. And so if everybody's thinking these people are, here's what happens in America. A lot of people in America like to live by illusion of success. They'll graduate from high school And then by the time that 10-year high school reunion comes around, they want to have an illusion of being successful. So they'll look a particular way, drive a particular car, have a particular kind of vibe about them, and that's how they operate. When in actuality, if you look at their bank account, then you say, oh, wow, okay, so now your net worth is really a negative $300,000. And you might be making good money right now, and that's the other thing that everybody thinks. They're always going to be making that money. And I know people who are medical doctors in their 40s, trapped in their careers, and want to do something different, but they can't because those student loans are there. They took out $300,000 in student loans. Now they've been a doctor for the past 25 years, and they're tired. Maybe not 25 years, but say the past 20 years or so, 15, 20 years. Now they want to do something else. Now they want to travel, but they can't because they took out all of this debt. And I'm saying that's what's coming to the continent. And the more westernized the country, the more of a problem it's going to be. That's why you saw like South Africa. South Africa is probably the most westernized country in Africa. And so that's why you see that being a prevalent problem there, because you begin to see that system is in place and it's saying, hey, this is what we can do. This is how we can keep these people in check. I'm telling you, please bookmark this video right here, because I'm telling you, I've been talking about this for for almost 20 years, but aggressively for more than 10 years. But just really, really encouraging people to, before you dive into this stuff, to really understand what's happening. So I have a track record of people who graduated from school debt-free as a part of my masterclass, whole debt-free college degree masterclass. You can go to MaximumImpactSuccess.com. We're going to do a new version and re-release that for those who are in the states and in countries. If you're able to sign up for it, you can take it anywhere in the world. You can sign up for it, and the principles are the same. Even though I talk about United States statistics in the United States educational system, you can still apply that to your system. I'm sure you can gauge and get something out of that from that particular talk. So we're going to do an update. You can go to MaximumImpactSuccess.com. That is my empowerment website catered towards youth, but anybody can definitely chime in, and I encourage you to go check that out, because we will be re-releasing it, and it'll be very affordable, so that you can get that information. It's definitely well worth it. So here are a couple of solutions. One thing I will tell you is the student loans. Everybody talks about scams and corruption. I believe the student loans, I believe, fall into both of those categories, scams and corruption. Now, I'm not talking about a small student loan where you take out $5,000 and it helps you get over the hump. I'm talking about these $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 student loans, and you do not have the capacity to pay it back, and you're doing it based upon hope to be able to pay it back one day. Now, some people do the student loans. They have the money in the bank. They know if something happens, they can just pay it off. That's a whole different story. Maybe that person doesn't want to, deplete their funds, and they're saying, okay, we have the money to do it. Let's take out the student loan, and we'll defer it, and maybe they'll do it, where they can defer and not have a certain interest rate. It's just different strategies that you can work with a student loan if you have the financial capacity. But the average person does not have the financial capacity to manage those student loans in that sense. They may be able to manage it, payment by payment, but I'm just referring to the average person who's going to walk themselves into this debt trap and find themselves in this trap. One in America, but it's also coming to the continent of Africa. It's already in South Africa. I'm sure it's in other places. I saw it coming to Ghana. I know it's not widespread yet, but it's coming. And that's what I'm saying. This is the warning. This is the alarm. This is what it is. I'm going to show you this clip that I wrote for my production, College Fever, back in 2011. And it is a scene where a single mom had to make a decision in reference to student loans. And this is where I want to encourage parents right here. And I'm going to make a statement. I want you to hold on true to this. I've said this for the past 10 years. I've been saying this, and it helps parents. Some parents don't like to hear it. But if you hear what I'm saying, it makes perfect sense. Parents, whether you're on the continent, whether you're in America, Canada, UK, wherever you're watching this, Caribbean, wherever, you do not owe, and the word owe is what I want you to hold on to. You do not owe your child a college education. It is not something you owe them. You may want to support them, you may want to give that to them, but that is not like a birthright where they wake up and they are owed a financial education. I owe it to them. We want our children to do better. And I also say to parents, I say, if you go and in your prime years, put yourself back into debt, you in essence set yourself up to become a liability to your child later in life. Because now if you're carrying this debt, they're carrying this debt, you start getting older, you don't have the capacity to pay it. Now they're raising their family, they're trying to do what they need to do in order to move forward, but now they have to come back and get you. Oftentimes the best thing that we can do as parents is to keep ourselves financially free so we don't become a burden to our children. But again, many parents don't think about that. In their 40s, 50s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, some grandparents are doing this. What ends up happening is we now dig a hole expecting our children to have to dig out of it. But then here they are with their children getting ready to go to college. We have the student loans for them. They have their own student loans. Now they're taking out student loans for their children. And it becomes a generation of debt, generations of debt. And that's, again, feeding the beast, falling into the system. And if that's the case, then no, you'll never really move forward. You have like papers on the wall, multiple degrees, and I can tell you a lot of my friends, they have doctorate degrees and don't have any financial capacity. So in other words, they have titles, they have symbols, but when it comes time for them starting a business, they don't have the ability to do it because either they're overextended on credit or they just don't have the financial capacity. Might be making a lot of money. But now as they get older, they're realizing they don't have a lot of money for retirement, just a lot of different things that come with it. And so again, to my folks in Africa, you don't have to go down this road. And this scene right here is a scene that resonates. And I can't wait to bring College Fever back. A lot of these things, like I shared my other production at the beginning of the year. And so you can check the page out and see that. And it's just really cool to be able to pull back some of these clips. But check this out, and then we'll wrap it up after this.
Who is it? It's your sister. Hey, Cynthia. Hi, dear. So, I hear our baby girl is on her way to Bree University. Not quite Ivy League like my India, but it will suffice.
I see. Well, just so you know, she won't be attending Bree because we just cannot afford it.
Can't afford it, please. They have all kinds of loan programs for low-income families that they can send their kids to even Ivy League schools.
Well, that may be true, but the ones offered to us, they require loans, and that's something I'm just not willing to do.
Interesting. So, tell me why your daughter is running around half the city telling everyone she's going to Bree.
Because she doesn't know she's not going yet.
She doesn't know?
No.
Oh, what do you mean she doesn't know, Brenda? All of these loan programs out here, they've become a way of life now. No one can afford to pay for school outright anymore. I mean, even I can't do that. Besides, where's she going to go?
She's gonna have to go to community college and then transfer.
Community college?
Yeah.
Community college? You are going to send your only daughter to the 13th grade to go to school with those other wannabes? Brenda, I'm surprised at you. All of these loan forgiveness programs out here, and you're going to choose to set her up for failure? Oh my God.
Look, I'm aware of what's available out there. And none of those programs are guaranteed either. They can change with the mood of Congress. Listen, sis, this is killing me to have to do. But long term, it's the best option.
I disagree.
You would.
If you take this from her, you will do irreparable damage with your relationship.
Well, sister dear, if you feel that strongly about it, why don't you write a check for her tuition? Or better yet, take out the loans in your name. Well, what's wrong? Cat got your tongue?
Look, Brenda, all I'm saying is that if you take this from her, you will do irreparable damage to your relationship.
And that's a chance that I'm willing to take for the sake of her long-term success. Like I said, when you're ready to start writing out those checks, you can say all you want.
This is absolutely ridiculous.
No one.
Hey, Mama. Hi, Aunt Cynthia.
Hi, darling.
How are you? Oh, wait.
Mwah.
You look great. Is India here with you?
No, dear. She's at school talking to her guidance counselor about her college options. But, I hear some good news. I hear that someone is on their way to Atlanta.
Yes, ma'am. It's official. I am a Breite.
Oh, I am so proud of you, dear. That is such good news.
Thank you.
And your grandparents, if they were here, they'd be so proud of you, too.
Your aunt, she was just leaving.
Well, I guess I can take a hint when I hear one. I am so proud of you, dear.
Thank you, Auntie.
Brenda.
Well, that certainly was a friendly farewell.
You know your aunt.
Yes, I do.
Listen, do you have a few minutes so we can talk?
Of course, I have a few minutes. You know I do love our girl talk session, so why don't you come right over here and sit down so we can talk? I've been meaning to talk to you about school anyway. This is just such an exciting time in my life, and I want to make sure that I'm doing everything the right way. So what's up?
That's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about.
School?
Yeah, I don't know the right way to say this to you.
Oh, Mommy. Hold my hands. Come on. Come on. What's going on?
We can't afford for you to go to Bree.
What do you mean?
They're only offering you $5,000 in financial aid that doesn't require loans.
Mom, you scared me. That's better than nothing. We can definitely take out loans for the rest. All my friends are doing it.
Yeah, but that's where the problem comes in. When you're finished college, you will have $140,000 in loans. That just isn't wise, baby.
No, Ma, we have to figure out some way to work this out. You of all people know how much I want this. I'll get a job. When I graduate, my degree will guarantee me the job of my choice. I'll pay the loans off in no time, Ma. Please. Please don't take this from me.
Yeah, I have to for the sake of your long-term success. Look, I know how important this is to you, to us. And I've been doing research. See, all you have to do is go to community college for 2 years.
Community college? No. No, Ma, absolutely not. You should have planned better. You knew this day was coming, and now you have nothing for me like the rest of these sorry parents out here. What kind of mother are you? No! God, you are so evil. Why didn't you just throw the letter away and never let me find out about it?
Be the last time that you ever raised your voice to me. I don't owe you a college education. I raised you on 2 jobs with no support from your father. Esperanza, look at me when I'm talking to you. Now, this hurts me as much as it hurts you, but don't you ever allow those ungrateful words to flow out of your mouth. I want you to go, but I know that taking on that kind of debt will only make our financial situation worse in the future.
Oh, this is not right. I'm so embarrassed. My grades say that I am better than community college.
Yeah, but your pockets don't. Esperanza, I am not taking away your 4-year degree. I'm taking you on a smarter path to get it. Most of the kids graduating with you will have debt that will hold them back years after they graduated, but you will have none.
You finished?
Yes, Esperanza, I am finished.
I hear everything you're saying to me.
Good.
But I'm gonna go talk to Miss Arnold to find out what my options are. I'm gonna fight for this, because I'm going to Bree University.
Well, this is a conversation that many families have, and ironically, a lot of times it's the parents, the ones on the opposite side of that. No, you not going to community college. You going to such and such because this is who we are. We the such and such and we the Smiths or whatever. I don't know. They're just finding the name, all right. And this is what we do, and we don't do that. That's the 13th grade, and that's for like kids with learning disabilities, and that mentality is, oh man, is what really sets people up for financial failure. One of the reasons why, and that's a clip from College Fever. One of the reasons why, we got to do that again. That was good. Oh man, Marsha and Channing, yeah. You know, when you begin to really understand the dynamics with the financials, and you see the impact that it has over the years, a lot of things are no-brainers. I tell people all the time, you know, a lot of state schools have partnerships with community colleges where you go to community college for 2 years, you're automatically accepted to the same state school they were going to go to anyway. When you graduate from the state school, it doesn't say I went to community college and went there. You just get a degree from the state school and you go on about your business. I've had young folks who, like the young lady said, she said, I didn't know what I was going to do and I finally found a way. And not just saying the community college is the only way, it's just one of those strategies that we talk about in the Debt-Free College Degree Masterclass for those who don't have the financial capacity and you're just trying to figure out what to do, but you can still go to school, you still get your degree. But again, we live in a society where image and perception and all of those things, you know, people don't want to take an uncomfortable path or a path that is perceived as being less desirable, because it's really arrogance and pride. That's what it really boils down to. Well, I'm better than that. But your financial capacity says something completely different. And again, I think about Antonice, I think about Malik. These are two people that I walked through the whole debt-free college degree process, graduated from college. Malik, he's going to get his PhD now, debt-free. Antonice, school teacher, when she came out, she didn't have any problems with having a teacher salary because she didn't have any student debt attached to it. So she got her degree, walked across the stage from Bowie State, and then there were other people that were walking right behind her, got the same degree, but had $80,000 in debt attached to it. And so now they're still to this day trying to figure out how to navigate that process. A lot of times when I hear this, people say, well, what, you know, do you have anything that helps people pay off the debt? Well, I have the financial detox, and that helps walk people through the process. But if again, I tell people all the time, if people are not willing to put the work in, then it's not going to happen. And if people are not willing to take the truth of the matter and really address what was motivating them, then those same motivations and those same issues will still be present when they decide that they want to do something else. So a couple solutions. First thing is redefine education. What is education? You know, you can, if it's a matter of having knowledge, you can go on YouTube and learn pretty much anything you want to do. Anything. I started businesses and make plenty of money off of YouTube, just off of watching how somebody did something, took a tutorial, took a master class, did something that gave me the knowledge, the education, and then now I'm able to move on and do what I need to do. I didn't need a degree for that. I just needed the education to be able to put that education into practice, and now it affords me the opportunity to go on and do what I need to do. See, those are the types of things that a lot of people don't think about, because their definition of education is sitting in getting 4-year degree, 6-year master's, 8-year doctorate, and now they're saying I'm educated, but you're only educated in that concentration. That's it. And if that concentration becomes obsolete, now you got to go back and get more credentials. You got to get more certifications, and that might cost another $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 by design to make sure that your career keeps you in debt. So then when you get to the end of your career, you're still in debt. And maybe you love doing what you're doing. Nobody's saying that you don't love what you're doing. But the fact of the matter is that when all of this stuff comes down, it impacts the quality of life for so many people. And that's what I'm saying, is that if you can learn how to get this under control now, then you have the ability to travel. If you're in Africa and you're seeing what's happening, all these people with the school fees, and they're doing all of this, and then they come out and they don't have jobs waiting for them. But I'm telling you, the debt is coming, because they sell you something. They sell you a dream. They sell you something that is attainable, but they want you to go a particular path to get there. So they sell you the American dream in Africa. Or they tell you that the pathway to success, and maybe it's not the American dream, maybe it's the dream of that particular country. The pathway to success is going through their educational system. And in order for you to be able to afford it, you have to take out these loans. And then if you don't do that, you're a nobody, you're a loser, you're trash, you're nothing, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're ignorant, you're all those different things. And those are the psychological plays that happen. But what I discover is that, and this is in particular on the continent of Africa, you already have everything. You can grow your own food, you can do your own businesses, you can do all those different things I see that are right there. It's just the access to the capital. So now the education component comes in and say, how do I get access to the capital? What do I need to do in order to get access to the capital? Because once you get access to the capital and you tie that along with your business, now you're able to start living some of this dream that's being sold. But I'm telling you, a college degree, that's just one step. Now, again, I'm not discouraging it. I'm just saying I'm discouraging putting yourself in a financial bind in order for it to happen. I'm discouraging going into massive debt in order for it to happen because there are no guarantees. And because there are no guarantees with it, when I say this, meaning there are no guarantees with anything, but if you're signing up for something that is potentially going to actually become a nightmare, it's wise to know that on the front end. So anyway, I just wanted to drop that out there, let you know that the disease that's in America that's coming to Africa is this student debt. Student debt-itis. That is what student loan-itis, student debt-itis is coming in epidemic proportions as the more westernized different countries in Africa become. You're going to start seeing that introduced. And it might not be here for another 5-10 years, maybe take a little bit longer, who knows? But just bookmark this video and just understand that that's what's coming. In my house, that student loans were like understood. My sons understood from a young age. I won't co-sign a student loan. Now, if you go out there and take your own student loan out, that's your business. But as far as if you want to go to college and do all of that, it's not coming by way of student loans in this household because we're not going to set ourselves back in order to try to make things happen. So anyway, if you want to find out more about what we have going on, go to MaximumImpactSuccess.com. We're going to be releasing the updated debt-free college degree masterclass for those who are in countries where you can actually purchase it and participate in it. But we will continue to have more talks about this for the continent of Africa so that you can start learning how to avoid. So again, redefine solutions, redefine education, learn the systems that educational systems, and then really understand what your prospects are on the other side of that. And then if it's not looking bright, then you want to come up with a different solution. You want to start understanding, all right, what can I do outside of this? I tell people all the time, become a freelancer. There's something that I'm really going to do a talk about this, about how people in Africa can take advantage of the West. Become a freelancer on websites like Upwork and Guru and Fiverr. And then what you do from there is you put together a really solid page and really develop your skills and charge less than what somebody might have to pay in the West. That could bring your quality of life up instantly. And then for them, it becomes a win because it brings their cost of labor down. You meet right in the middle and it's a win-win. But again, I hear people all the time, well, I got on there and nobody reached out to me. Well, it's not somebody reaching out to you. Sometimes you have to go out there and bid and do what you need to do and deliver and build your base. And that's a surefire way to change your financial capacity. If you're aggressive, I see people doing it in India and Bangladesh and Pakistan, and in the Philippines and Brazil. They're getting on these networks and they're making plenty of money. I see people doing it in Africa. As a matter of fact, I have people who work, freelancers who work for me in Africa and in Kenya, in Nigeria, in Ghana. And so that's because they understand and they've positioned themselves. And so when you have somebody who's committed to bridging the gap between the African diaspora, I love to take my business to them and make it a win-win because we both win, and that's how things change. So anyway, that's the deal. Wanted to drop that on you. Hey, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and check this out. Hey, these are some of the things you can do when you don't have student loan debt. Check this out right here, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
What makes you? I'm gonna go climb Kilimanjaro.
When I went to Ghana, I knew that there was something missing.
Why'd you go to Ghana? What started the whole?
What started the whole thing was curiosity, and I did the ancestry, DNA, and then I did African ancestry. Then when I was doing the whole Uber experiment, I was meeting all these people from Africa. And there was this one young lady from Ethiopia, and then she told me, oh, this Ethiopia is this great place, you need to go. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, whatever, okay, I'm gonna go one day on my bucket list. But then I did the ancestry, and this whole piece about Africa kept coming up in my mind. And then I just decided to do it. I said, I'm gonna stop waiting around, I'm gonna do it. From there, went to Ghana, and the first thing that hit me is that, wait a minute, there's something I wasn't told. Just had lunch, and we are getting ready to start this journey. We're getting a lot more footage along the way, so stay tuned.
So we made it to the top after the rock scramble. Life above the clouds is completely different. Behind me is the summit. We're on our way. We are in a cloud. That's what's happening.
I'm dressed like a handmaid.
This is literally like from another planet.
Wakaribishwa Kilimanjaro, hakuna matata.